Once upon a time, there was a dear little boy who loved his little toys. But most of all, he loved his games, and there was nothing he would not have given for them. And so here we are at the end of Season 2 with Benji's lightning quick top 100 games of all time. 25. Lord of the Rings, the card game. This was FFG's first stab at cramming theme and narrative into a living card game. And you know what? It contains a quite brilliant mechanical platform for telling that story through combat, encounters and your travels through each chapter of a given scenario. 24. Zombicide. I think I've said this once already, but dice chucking is a lot of fun. Doing so in the pursuit of mowing down piles and piles of zombies ups the visceral factor by a notch or 12. A cooperative classic, this game is one of the key reasons I returned from my sabbatical from the hobby. 23. Raiders of the North Sea. Many people's first introduction to Garfield games takes on worker placement with a twist. Here you play Viking raiding parties, picking up resources and turning them into combat power. But it's the innovative place a worker, take an action, remove a worker, take an action that sets this apart. 22. Western Legends. I have no living memory whatsoever of being in an actual sandbox, but it's games like this that can help me imagine what it would be like. This is as much of an experience as anything else, as you decide what adventures your character, who can choose to be lawful or wanted, gets to embark upon. 21. Warhammer Underworlds. Hexes and Warhammer, yes and yes. But would this be just another undercooked GW specialist game? Is it heck? What surprises you outside of the solid dice rolling, movement and combat mechanics is the deck construction elements that really elevate your available actions and objectives. 20. Guild Ball. The irony is not lost on me that this has got higher on the list since it's been discontinued, but there's a liberating feeling in that sometimes. Either way, this miniature tabletop distillation of soccer football, with more than a little brawling, offers two disparate ways for you to crack an egg: goals and KOs. 19. Aeon's End. Deck builders have become the little mechanic, if you can call it that could. Here we have traditional marketplace deck building in a co-op environment against a big baddie, and it's this element where the game shines, as each opponent brings its own differing challenges to the table. 18. Star Wars Outer Rim. There's something eminently nostalgic about this pick up and deliver and storytelling yarn that sees you picking from a number of colourful and iconic characters and making your way from planet to planet, fulfilling missions and kitting yourself out with the best ship and upgrades. 17. Dice Forge. How are there not more games that allow you to upgrade the facings on the dice? It's just such a great idea. All you're really doing is rolling resources each turn to then buy stuff that allows you to do more stuff with your dice, and ultimately then roll or even buy points. Absolutely love it. 16. Too Many Bones. Dice, Builder, RPG. Honestly, the three words combined are cause for salivation, and thank the gods then that this combat-centric adventure that uses poker-type chips to represent pretty much everything on board sees you gaining access to more and more wonderful dice that empower your abilities. 15. Sentient. What makes a perfect game? Is it one that seemingly has no flaws? This game of reverse dice manipulation is just that good, and sees you trying desperately to align your objective cards with the facings found on the dice on your player board, which thankfully you can modify to get you to your desired result. This is pure mathy gold. 14. Star Wars X-Wing. This is not a dexterity based miniature tabletop game, but it is one where you damn sure need some visual acuity to pilot your ship successfully, avoiding obstacles and your opponents and ensuring you line yourself just so in order to unleash a barrel of gunfire. Sweet tactical goodness. 13. Warhammer Quest, the adventure card game. The quality of this, another discontinued game, hit me immediately. Whether it was its elegant player scaling, its meaningful choices of actions that you can't repeat until you've rested, or the varied bestiary of foes you need to dispatch to get to the end of the scenario, it's all bleeding brilliant. 12. Star Wars Legion. As a Trekkie, this many Star Wars games at this point is absolutely galling. Not that I don't like Star Wars, but give Trek some love, board game gods, please. Anyway, as mini war games go, this one's pretty accessible. The movement and uncomplicated dice rolls account for that, but it still brings the large scale fun you'd expect. 11. Star Wars Destiny. Oh, for bleeding, how much more of this? But wow, this dice game that feels like a 1v1 card game is just so well conceived. Rolling, manipulating and activating dice to attack your opponent's characters, complement the decks you construct to add upgrades and events that shape the gameplay. 10. Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion. Sometimes wishes do come true. I never quite had the time, the money or the inclination to tackle the mighty Gloomhaven big box. So after spending some time with the app and loving it, along came this streamlined bad boy with its beautiful ring binder, and once again all was right with the world. 9. Clank. It seems that every new combination with deck building tickles my fancy, and this point-to-point movement dungeon delve was just right up my alley. There are so many different ways for you to get in, grab some loot and get out before the big bad dragon gets a hold of you. This feels like good, wholesome fun. 8. Scythe. This hybrid Euro game is all about the player board for me, with each player getting a slightly different tech tree to pursue. It only shapes, not dictates which way your game is going to go, and then the area control and fairly light on conflict board interactions are the cherry on top. 7. Spirit Island. I always marvel at how easily this game flows. This does X damage and does X health. You know what's going to happen next turn, but it still remains a challenging game. And of course, its crowning achievement is those fantastically designed asymmetric spirits. All this adds up to a co-op masterpiece. 6. Magic the Gathering. This is what happens when ingenious game design takes centre stage. It's created a whole new genre and is still the reigning king 25 years later. My favourite part of the game outside of brewing decks is playing your opponent. What cards do they have in their hand? What do I have to play around? What's my path to victory? Genius. 5. Blood Bowl Team Manager. What happens when you merge my favourite game world into a well-tuned deck builder and area control game? This little beauty is what? I don't know what it is, I just don't get bored of this game, and we've played it a ton at this point. It just hits me in the feels no matter which team I play. 4. Marvel Champions. I always feel sorry for my number 4 game, just outside the medals, but then I remember how much Marvel Champions gets to the table and I get over it. This isn't the ultimate evolution of the living card game, but you can tell they've learnt from what's come before, and I for one am all in. 3. Warhammer 40k. So the final 3 starts with a miniature war game, and arguably the biggest star in the sky is this large scale game set in the grimdark future. Its current 9th edition I feel is wonderfully tuned into a sweet spot of complexity, but reducing the barrier to entry, and still offering so much strategic depth if you want it. 2. Arkham Horror, the card game. Why is this higher than Marvel Champions, you ask? Theme and storytelling is why. No other game does it better in my opinion, and the sense of tension and the macabre literally jumps out at you in every scenario. Oh, and the way the story progresses, win or lose, leaves you happy to just be carried along with the narrative. 1. Terraforming Mars. And so here it sits once again at the tippy top of the pile. I'm sorry guys, but nothing has hit my table in the last year to usurp it. The way I evolved my engine of project cards is what makes this game so replayable. The drafting of cards I know is always going to send me off in a different direction each game. And the way that translates to the surface of Mars and the grabbing of points is what makes this such a satisfying whole. And so we made it to the summit, ladies and gentlemen. I really do hope you've enjoyed the list and would love to engage in some discussion with you down in the comments. Were there any real surprises in this here list, or any games I've convinced you might be worth a shot? Let me know. However, for this year's list, that's it from me. I'll see you next time.